Sometimes the most profound lessons, the really surprising insights, they aren't in textbooks or formal classes. They're
Hmm.
kind of hidden in plain sight, woven into everyday life, inside the most familiar objects.
Right, things you don't even think twice about.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're peeling back the layers on something you've probably held, I don't know, countless times. Just a simple deck of playing cards.
Ah, the standard deck.
Yeah. And our main guide here is this fascinating work, The Accidental Classroom, by William L. Weaver, that we've pulled in some other relevant bits too.
It's a great lens to view it through.
Our mission really is to show how this ordinary seeming thing isn't just cardboard for games. It's actually a remarkably sophisticated system,
Hmm.
a little world packed with history, math concepts, strategy, even surprising links to technology. We
Hmm.
want to explore the ideas underneath, unpack the technical stuff, and show how this deck is unintentionally a brilliant teacher.
An accidental classroom, just like the title says.
Precisely. So if you think you know cards, get ready. You're about to see them maybe a bit differently, not just for fun, but as this powerful, accidental schoolhouse.
It's true, isn't it? When you look at it as a system, that standard 52 card deck is, well, it's elegant. You've got these distinct components, the cards,
Right.
each with attributes like suit and rank. But then you put them together with rules, in games, and you get this incredible range of behavior, strategic depth. It's definitely more than the sum of its parts.
And what's so fascinating, as the accidental classroom really highlights, is how that structure just naturally introduces you to mathematical, logical
Without
ideas.
you even realizing it.
Yeah, just by playing.
Absolutely. Take the
Yeah.
suits, hearts, diamonds, spades, clubs. Right away, you're dealing with concepts like sets and categorization.
Grouping things.
Exactly. Grouping all the hearts or all the red cards or the face cards. It's a fundamental skill, right? Sorting, seeing relationship. That's the bedrock of logic, of math.
And that simple red versus black distinction.
Well, that's intuitive binary classification.
Yeah.
You're constantly splitting the deck or your hand into two groups. Yes, no. Red, black. It's fundamental to, like, computer science. Loads of fields.
Huh. Never thought of it that way.
Plus, the number 4 itself. It resonates, doesn't it? Seasons, directions, elements. It feels kind of right, easy to grasp.
Okay, then you've got the ranks. Ace through king, 13 cards in each suit.
Right. So that introduces a kind of base 13 counting system within each suit.
Hmm.
You're learning sequences like building runs in poker or rummy.
Or just putting them in order.
Yeah, ordinal numbers, the third card, the fifth card.
Yeah.
And the idea of a numerical range. Critically, though, you get hierarchical value.
Knowing a king beats a queen, which beats a jack.
Exactly. That relative ranking is such a key concept in, well, loads of systems, not just cards.
Yeah.
And maybe that historical link to 13 lunar cycles subtly connects it to timekeeping, too. Who knows?
And just the total number, 52. 4 suits times 13 ranks equals 52.
It's simple math, yeah, but the way it mirrors the 52 weeks in the Gregorian year,
Hmm.
it's striking.
Coincidence, or...
Hard to say for sure if it was intentional design way back when, but it definitely links this little object to the bigger temporal system we use. It's a neat echo.
What about that bit of lore? The sum of the values. I found that really surprising.
Ah, yes. If you assign numbers, ace is 1, jack 11, queen 12, king 13, and add up all the spots or values.
You get 364.
Right, 364. Add one joker, it's 365. Add the second joker, often included, you get 366 for a leap year.
Wow.
Now, whether that was a deliberate design feature or just a happy accident that people notice later, historians debate it, but the effect is that it sparks curiosity, doesn't it,
Hmm.
about combinatorics, how things combine, and number theory.
And just playing basic games.
Well, yeah, counting pips, adding card values in blackjack, figuring out points in cribbage. It's all embedded arithmetic.
Yep.
Addition, multiplication, right there in the game.
So like playing Go Fish, you're learning about sets.
Yeah.
War is teaching value comparison, like greater than, less than. Crazy Eights is pattern matching. And thinking about your odds in poker, that's basic probability, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Intuitive, elementary probability. What are the chances I draw that ace? These aren't explicit lessons with a teacher. They're absorbed through play.
Mm.
The deck becomes this really effective, unintentional tutor for, basic math literacy and logical thinking. It's a system for fun that happens to teach fundamentals.
Okay, so that's the numerical architecture. But this system, it didn't just pop into existence fully formed, right? It evolved. It has a history.
Oh, absolutely. And its history is a perfect case study in how systems adapt to their environment, the cultures, the technologies, the users. The journey itself is a lesson.
Where did it start?
Most evidence points to 9th century China, possibly evolving from things like paper money or dominoes. They were already part of cultural practices, a system for interaction.
And how did they get to Europe?
Trade routes, most likely. They seem to arrive in Europe around the late 14th century, probably via the Mamluk Sultanate in Egypt. Yeah. And the early European decks were influenced by Mamluk designs, different suits like cups, coins, swords, polo sticks. They were often luxury items, hand-painted.
Fancy.
Very. But then came a massive shift in the environment. The printing press.
Ah, technology steps in. How did that change things?
Huge impact. Those intricate Mamluk designs. Hard and expensive to reproduce with early woodblock printing.
Right.
So by the late 15th century, the simpler French suits, the hearts, diamonds, clubs, spades we know became dominant
Why them specifically?
because they were much, much easier and cheaper to print using stencils or simple woodblocks. The system, the deck design, adapted to the technological capability and the economics of mass production. It got optimized for being made easily and widely available.
That's a really clear example of a system adapting to a tech shift. Wow.
Exactly. And you see other reflections too, like the court cards king, queen, jack. They mirrored the societal structure of the time, the feudal or monarchical hierarchy, made the deck relatable.
What about the Joker, though? That always felt a bit tacked on.
It kind of was. It's a much later edition. Came about in the U.S. Around the 1860s, primarily for the game euchre, where it acted as a top trump or a wild card.
It wasn't original.
Nope. Its inclusion probably came from evolving game needs, maybe even manufacturing convenience, like filling out a 54-card printing sheet instead of 52. It just eventually became standard. It shows the system kept evolving based on how people used it.
So the deck we hold today isn't static at all.
Not at all. It's a tangible record of cultural movement, technological adaptation, innovation diffusion, living history in your hands, really.
Okay, speaking of adaptation and use, let's zoom in on one specific game that uses the deck's structure in a really interesting way and has its own surprising hidden lessons. Klondike Solitaire.
Ah, Klondike, yeah, the classic. Famously got popular during the gold rush, right?
That's the story.
Klondike's brilliant because it takes that basic deck structure, 52 cards, suits, ranks, and builds a very specific kind of puzzle. Think about the setup, the tableau, those 7 piles you deal out.
1 card, then 2, then 3.
Right, up to 7. Now, the number 7 has its own cultural weight, sure, but mathematically, it's elegant.
How so?
Well, you deal 1 plus 2 plus 3, all the way up to 7 cards. Add those up. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, it equals 28.
28, okay.
Which just happens to be the 7th triangular number.
Triangular number.
Yeah, it's what you get when you sum consecutive numbers.
Yeah.
1, then 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6, and so on. You can visualize them as triangles of dots. They relate to arithmetic series.
Huh.
So setting up Klondike uses exactly half the deck, 28 cards, in this mathematically defined pattern, the 7th triangular number. It creates this perfectly tuned system, complex enough to be challenging but structured. It implicitly exposes you to these number patterns just by dealing the cards.
And the gameplay itself, like the classic draw 3, play 1 rule, that feels strategic.
Oh, definitely. That rule, drawing 3 at a time, it restricts the information flow compared to just drawing 1. It forces you into resource management.
Like, do I use this card now or wait?
Exactly. Managing the stockpile. It also really hones your intuitive sense of probability. What are the chances that king I need is buried deep or coming up soon? It taxes your working memory, too, trying to remember cards you thought go by.
I definitely lose track sometimes.
We all do. And it absolutely requires strategic foresight. You have to plan ahead, visualize sequences, figure out which cards will unlock others. It's all strategy baked into the rules.
Now, this game, Klondike, it led to maybe the most impactful accidental classroom moment of all time.
You have to be talking about Microsoft Solitaire.
Absolutely. Back when Microsoft launched Windows 3.0, this was 1990, they had a big problem. Most people use computers with command lines, typing everything. They weren't familiar with graphical user interfaces, GUIs, or the whole WIMP idea, Windows icons, menus, pointers.
Things we take totally for granted now.
Right, and basic mouse actions, pointing, clicking, and especially dragging and dropping.
Right.
These were completely new, kind of alien concepts for millions of users.
Yeah, imagine explaining, drag this icon onto that icon to someone who's only ever typed copy file A to location B. It's a different way of thinking.
Totally. So Microsoft did something, well, genius. They bundled Klondike Solitaire with Windows.
And the key was Playing solitaire inherently required people to learn and practice those exact mouse skills.
You had to do it to play.
You had to. To move a card from the tableau to the foundation,
Yep.
that's drag and drop. To turn over cards from the stock, that's clicking. Moving cards between piles,
Yeah.
more dragging.
So millions of people were just playing a fun, familiar game.
And completely unconsciously, without any formal training manual saying practice dragging now, they were building the muscle memory. They were getting the cognitive familiarity needed to navigate this new graphical world.
Wow.
They learned how to use a mouse, how to interact with a GUI,
Yeah.
just by playing cards on their screen. It was arguably the most successful stealth educational program ever devised, teaching fundamental computer literacy through play.
That's actually mind-blowing, learning core computer skills by moving digital playing cards around.
And while doing it, they were still engaging with the deck's underlying logic, the sequences, the strategy, reinforcing all those other accidental lessons in a new digital context.
So Klondike, physical or digital, ends up teaching logic, patience, strategy, pattern recognition, and literally taught a generation how to use a mouse.
Amazing, isn't it? So when you really step back and look at it,
Yeah.
a standard deck of cards is so much more than just, 52 bits of cardboard.
Yeah.
It's this profoundly layered system. It's a historical artifact showing adaptation. It's a mathematical construct that embeds basic principles. It's an incredibly versatile tool for intellectual engagement, for strategy, even for learning technology. That structure, 4 suits, 13 ranks, 52 cards, it's just this elegant, interconnected pattern that's developed and taught, intentionally or not, for centuries.
And that elegance, I think, the simplicity of the components creating such richness, that has to be key to its enduring appeal. And it really drives home, like we said at the start, this idea of accidental classrooms and hidden curricula being all around us. It shows that really significant lessons about numbers, history, systems thinking, strategy, even how we learn to interact with new worlds, new technologies, they're often embedded in the mundane, everyday things we use, just waiting for us to notice.
Waiting to be discovered.
So maybe the next time you shuffle a deck or even just open a game of solitaire on your computer, pause for a second. What other hidden systems, what other unintentional lessons might be hiding in plain sight right there in front of you?
Good question to ponder.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.